Hey, cousins. We still talking about Charlotte Flair's article. And in the article, she made the statement that the reason the last decade of women's wrestling has been so special to her, well, the answer won't shock you. She said it's all the amazing women that she's worked with. And she singled out a select group of women that she's worked with. And we're going to talk about these women who she singled out and my thoughts. She said Paige. She said, not even kidding. I literally dressed as Paige for Halloween one year. And when I saw her wrestle Emma at NXT Arrival in 2014, that was such a huge deal. That was the moment I realized, okay, wrestling isn't something I want to do. It's something I have to do. So I give Paige, whatever. Paige don't never done nothing for me. But I'm gonna tell you something now. Paige is the original emo in terms of look. Paige opened doors for that pasty, take me as I am, bone dry ass wrestler. And because of that, is millions of girls who came into wrestling because of Paige. Because Paige looked the way she looked, acted the way she acted. She made girls who felt like outcast at high school, outcast at the job, hell, outcast as adults feel like, you know what, you be yourself and you still gonna get over with the people. And that is Paige. So yes, give Paige her flowers. Absolutely. Next person, she said, Natalia. And she said she is definitely could have exposed me if she wanted to, but she didn't. Natty was so generous as an opponent. And I'm pretty sure that seeing me in the ring with her is the first time the office started taking me seriously. Natty is taken for granted a little bit too much in the WWE. I'm not even gonna hold you on that. I even said I feel like I did a couple podcasts where I said I think I need Natty to get another run with the title. For whatever fucking reason, no, Natty is not a crowd favorite, but Natty does get a response. But when I tell you what she's been doing outside of the WWE ring that people aren't aware of because I guess they don't really follow her, she is like putting on effort and putting forth and learning her craft and honing it like no other. She's in the ring and generous, allowing B Fab, Lash Legend, and the other girls, Rehab, Mercedes, and them. They go over to the Heart Dungeon and work with Natty, and Natty is teaching them what she know. Natty ain't old either. Natty probably just now hit 40, if maybe in her early 40s. She seems like she's been around forever, but she hasn't. It's just that we watched wrestling for a long time. Natty, I do agree, deserves her flowers. She deserves a lot. Right now, she's in a tag team with Maxine Dupree called the Dungeon Dolls. And once again, placed on the back burner with no rhyme or reason. And because of Natty, Maxine has gotten tremendously better in the ring to where I think Maxine should have been had a singles run and kind of take the Lana place of the goofiness and stuff like that. Even Natty was working with Lana, and you could see the progression. Yes, Natty Ben deserved her flowers. Ben deserved them, and it's still taken for granted to this day by WWE. If you ask me, people even say that whole fart gimmick really took Natty out the title scene long time ago to put that woman in that type of gimmick. And you know what? She took it and she did the best she could with it. Next person, Nikki Bella. All right, controversial Nikki. Let's see what she said. She said, I mean, how could I not take what she said? She doesn't look diva enough for the main roster. She said she took it personally, but she said it had nothing to do with Nikki, who I have a lot of admiration for and who's earned everything she's gotten in the WWE. Beating her to become the last ever WWE Divas champ was a big moment. And the more time passes, the more I see how that match wasn't about style versus substance or any bullshit like that. It was about progress, which Nikki and the Divas were an important part of. Let me say something. As someone who watched this product for a significant amount of time, I do downplay the Divas era. I do downplay it because the stuff that they were doing, I don't find that progressive. I find it more of we had to do it, so the next women don't have to do it. I didn't see anything that Trish Stratus was doing progressive. I didn't see anything Maurice was doing progressive. That whole Divas title stuff, I mean, it is what it is. It was for the time, it was for the moment. Okay? Where I was focused on the ladies who were more avant-garde and before their time was China, Jazz, specifically those two, even Ivory. Those three, and I'm probably missing one. I put Beth Phoenix in there. Those four women were ahead of their time, and they had the women's championship title. They didn't have the Divas. The women's championship title, if I wanted to pick where anything has started for Evolution, was that women's championship title, not the Divas. I'm just gonna be honest. That's where I feel. Now, when we talk about Nikki Bella, yes, she played her role and her part. Um, they were a part of moving things forward, doing what they had to do at that time to get women's wrestling on the forefront. I will give Nikki Bella and those divas their flowers in terms of the reality show Total Divas. That is where most, and if not a lot, of young girls and teens and stuff were introduced through that ETV show to WWE. But if I turned on WWE TV and let the divas, nobody was sitting around watching that. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't see that as progress. But the four women that I named, that was progress with that women's title. We could debate that. So she gave Nikki Bella her flowers, and it's cool. She gave her flowers, and I'm not gonna knock her for that at all. Asuka, Mother Yoshi. She says she's a master. Oh my God. Anytime I've gotten to share a ring with Oscar, it's been the definition of iron sharpen iron. Simply put, 34 is one of my favorite matches ever. And in that moment, on that night, men, women, I don't care. I felt like I was going up against the best wrestler in the world. So it was a huge boost for me that I raised my game and hung with her. What I didn't like is that Asuka had came over. She had a dominating undefeated streak in NXT. She was undefeated in I want to say on the pay-per-view stage, and Charlotte came and broke her streak. I didn't like that. I didn't like it, and I still don't like it. I thought it was cheap and a way to just continue to push the juggernaut that is Charlotte Flair's, again, her persona, right? That's her character. Asuka ain't nothing to play with. And I already gave Asuka her flowers. I'll always give her flowers. I think WWE watered her down really, like, to the point where if you don't do your due diligence and go look up Kana Chan and Asuka's old matches, you don't realize how bad of a bitch Asuka is. You don't realize it until you see what she did outside of WWE. Even the whole killer clown thing that she was doing in what is it, in Stardom or New Japan, whatever it's called, because I seen that clown gimmick. She was nothing to fuck with. Now she just wears the mask. Wears her clown mask because it's fun to do. It really doesn't do anything for the character. Um, when Oscar's not on TV, it shows that there's a lack of excitement and intrigue. Asuka makes everything matter. Her hits, her punches, the way her presentation, she's always at 100. And I think that's why I fuck with Asuka. And anybody that comes to the WWE after Asuka is literally, you're never going to meet her standard. Julia, okay? Kairi Sane, Io Sky is probably a close second. But y'all never gonna meet Asuka standards in my eyes. Never. You all are just gonna be carbon copies of Mother Joshi. You're her daughters. So Asuka's always gonna get praise from me. Always. And if you ask me, I don't think she needs to be in a tag team situation. Asuka should always have a damn title around her neck. I would put Asuka over there and let her fuck around with that US title. Let her work Julia out. Let them shoot the fair one for a series or something like that. But then again, you gotta fuck with women's wrestling to want to do something like that. Ronda, this is the one that got in the news. This is the one that everybody focused on. Ronda Rousey. She went on and said, I don't think Ronda gets enough credit for the WWE putting women in the main event. A lot of things about the women's revolution might be true, but this is definitely true. Ronda being the main event draw in UFC changed everything. I know that for a fact. I think the U.S. women's soccer team being a draw helped us. I think Serena Williams and other women's tennis players being a draw helped us. But in terms of WWE looking at women as potentially WrestleMania level main eventers, you can trust me on this 100%. There's before Ronda and then there's after. And I wish people would talk more about that and give Ronda her due. Let me tell you something. I don't even fuck with Ronda like that, and I'm not even going to argue. There you go. I'm not even going to debate about that. I remember Ronda Star Power. Everything was about Ronda motherfucking Rousey. Ronda was in Fast and Furious movies. Ronda Rousey's doing this. Ronda Rousey's doing that. Ronda. Serena Williams, please. I don't even have to discuss the queen that is Serena Williams. The soccer team was such a big deal. They got their own documentary on how they built up to the soccer and why they wanted equal pay for women, which they actually end up getting, by the way. At that time, ESPN put out a magazine where they showed the athletic body, and Charlotte was one of the women they asked to be in there, along with other women posing in the nude, and so they don't show the bits. But remember that ESPN Natural magazine? All of that was because in those few years, it was like a trajectory of powerful women, and you can't deny it. I'm not going to deny Ronda, especially her first run. The second run, I always say, and I did a podcast, when she became a mother, when you become a mother, something chemically changes in you. If you are, I guess, how can I say this? I don't want to say blessed. If you naturally pick up on the mother instinct, I say that. Something changes in you to where all you want to do is go be a mother. You got your kid, you want to be a mother. I think on Ronda's second run, she had her kid, she came back. She wanted to be with her kid and she wanted more kids. She wanted to focus on that. People were looking for that first run where everybody was on board. Had Ronda left on that first run and left it like that, her legacy would not be tarnished. But the way she left on her second run is what people are always going to remember. And she fucked it up on the way out, okay? But what she just said here, I'm not about to argue. What are you talking about? I'm not arguing. Unfortunately, we never going to get that Ronda versus Becky joint, which is what we were all expecting. And again, the reason why people was fucking angry at Charlotte Flair's character, you got monkey wrenched in something you shouldn't have been monkey wrenched in because they want to, I guess, make sure they take care of Ric Flair's daughter. This is where the Charlotte Flair character always has issues. I'm not debating that. Not at all. Let's go to the next lady. Bianca. Why did I love what Charlotte Flair said? And I'm gonna tell you, here's what she said. She said, we haven't had our classic match yet. And when them two bitches get in the ring, it's gonna be nothing to fucking play with. And the crazy thing is, Bianca will be the only woman to beat all four horsewomen when she finally get a hold of Charlotte. Y'all know Bianca got that cute little jacket. She got Bayley, Becky, and Mercedes. She just needs that Charlotte Flair patch. She said, I know it's coming. And more importantly, getting to watch Bianca and Mercedes main event 37, that's probably my favorite women's moment from the last 10 years that I wasn't a part of. Not just because the match was incredible, but because it was incredible to have a WrestleMania main event between two black women. This is the part right here. Representation of one of those things that WWE always can get better, and I hope that match really put on the display why it matters. Like, as much as I love watching Bianca, and I love even more is watching young black girls watch Bianca. It feels deeper than fandom, and I think a big reason for that is just how good it feels to watch something and be able to picture it yourself. Thank you. When I sit here and my tagline for this Wrestling in Color podcast is representation matters. It's always gonna fucking matter. I understand every time black people got something they say want to say about the first and why it's important. Um, Jade Cargill is the first black woman to win Queen of the Ring. Naomi is the first black American woman to win Money in the Bank because Jade Cargill's American, Jamaican descent. So, okay, I'm being real specific here. You understand? You got two black women in Mercedes and Naomi making history. No one has done that yet. These three things alone. You got the big three making a stir, looking like fucking alien superstars coming from the rafters at WrestleMania. Little girls is like, the same way I looked at China like, yo, that's a bad bitch. Let me go get some stack or two and have a fucking heart attack. When I looked at Jazz and she was beating the fuck out of Trish Stratus's best match, all her matches with Jazz ain't nothing to play with. Go back and look at those matches. It's because of Jazz that those matches look like any fucking thing. Jazz was already built like the women we see today. And she didn't get her just due. So when representation, when you got Zelina Vega coming out with a Puerto Rican flag, that's representation. When you got Sheamus about to jump and click his heels from the side and talk about his Irishness, that's representation. When you got the Scottish Warrior, that's representation, right? So it does matter whether it's black, white, or otherwise. When Shinsuke come out dressed in a samurai suit, there's a Japanese kid somewhere like, yo, I want to do that. When Japanese girls get to see EO and all those girls do their thing, you don't think it matters? Everybody wants to see a reflection of themselves. And I love that Charlotte said that about Bianca. Why wasn't that the big piece? I don't know. And by the way, that WrestleMania 37 match, Bianca and Mercedes won a ESPY. Isn't that what WWE cares about? But they can't talk about it because Mercedes has moved on. Let's get this in. Trish Stratus and Lita. She said, I was actually in the crowd for Trish and Lita Raw main event in North Carolina in 2004. I was mostly there for my dad, though. So I had no idea how historic their match was at the time, but I do now. And I'm so glad they both come back and work big shows over the last year because as influential as Trish and Lita are 20 years ago, I think they're being just as influential wrestling 20 years later by showing it's just not the men who are special attractions. Now there's proof that women can come back as legends and draw. Okay. I think when Trish and Lita comes back, everybody's excited about it, but I think it's run its course. I think the argument is, where's all the other women? Melina, again, Jazz, Jacqueline. If China was alive, China, listen, it wouldn't even be no fucking question if Joni Lauder was alive and we could see China. That woman, please. All the girls, Maurice and them, all them girls, if the usual didn't come back as much and we got to see the other ladies more, that would be more of a draw and the main attraction. But we see the same people all the time and it's fatigued. Everybody's tired. That's it. But I'm never going to take the flowers from Trish and Lita. I just don't think their contribution to women's wrestling was that monumental. I think they were of the time. And I guess because they did it, so it doesn't have to be done again. So I'll give them that. Last but not least, Stephanie McMahon. She said, I know that some people, for some reason, feel the need to downplay Stephanie's role in women's evolution and how instrumental she was in it. Those people are idiots. None of this happens without her. And I get that. But the fact that Stephanie is not even front and center on this women's evolution too says more about Stephanie than any woman that's working this match or any woman in the locker room. Stephanie is notorious for taking credit on shit she had nothing to do with. But because Stephanie has that position of power, when she steps in front and growls and says, this is what's happening, this is what we're going to do, it holds weight. And the fact that Stephanie is nowhere around right now when this supposedly big monumental thing is happening for the women. I don't fuck with Stephanie. And then she said the four horsewomen. Again, AJ Lee said she was the one to bring it to the forefront to actually call Stephanie out on her bullshit. Paul Leviskate said the women's evolution started at that Brooklyn takeover between Sasha and Bailey and what was going on down in NXT. And so that's where I'm going to start, where the women's evolution started. Yes, you had ladies that helped and did their thing for the time, but in my eyes, the term revolution, did not start until Sasha, Bailey, Becky, and Charlotte, and all of those girls down at NXT was wrestling the way they was wrestling. They didn't wrestle like, oh, come look at me. Oh my God. They went down there and said, I'm not about to be in the ring looking good. I'm fucking wrestling like everybody else. That was what started the evolution. I remember it, and that's what it started. And that's why you had those Iron Women matches, ladder matches, getting all this hardcore shit for the women to do. Because the women, at the end of the day, contrary to what the incels and the haters say, they don't want to wrestle like men, but they want to be treated with respect and dignity, and they want to be paid like everybody else for doing essentially the same thing, and most of the time, doing it better. I'm going to leave it right there. I think Charlotte really hit the nail on the head with these, and I agree. Especially with Asuka, Ronda, and Becky. I definitely agree with those, and Paige, for what they have done to elevate the art and to get more people involved. Because I'm gonna tell you something, I'm gonna wrap it up. When people see good looking people doing crazy shit, they watch. Every time somebody asks me, oh, you into pro wrestling? They see one of my shirts or something. I say, yeah. They say, who's that? I says, Bianca Belair. I said, go watch her matches. Just go. When I finally talk to those people, they be like, she is absolutely divine. She is beautiful. I told you about me and my homegirl watching AEW, and she saw Jade Cargill and was like, damn, who is that? I want to watch more of her. Or if it's a dude and they trying to get into wrestling, can you guess who I tell them to watch first? Not Bret Hart, not Shawn Michaels. I go tell him, go watch Roman Reigns, because guess what? He good looking, and he going to draw you in on the strength of that. Y'all can say what y'all want. And at this point, we all grown. You should be comfortable with your sexuality. Okay? Roman Reigns is got the whole package, and he is the reason why motherfuckers put their ones up. Okay? Men, women, kids, everything. I seen him live. And I can tell you, when Roman Reigns is in the building, the men are mad, the women are moaning, and the kids are screaming. Okay? With that being said, I'm gonna leave it right there.